My name's Wolf, and through this series of videos I'm going to introduce you to the crazy over-the-top world that nerds like me love so much, that is Warhammer 40,000. So get comfy, buckle in and prepare for a Noob-Splaining session. The Eldari, or the Eldar as they were known, are the reason why everything is so bad in the 40k universe, and in this video I'm going to explain why it's all the pointy-eared bastards' fault. So here we go folks, if you're not subscribed please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment on this vid, the more sarcastic the better, and once you've watched it leave a like or a dislike so I know what you think about it. Now as I know them, the space elves of the 40k world are the Eldar, but as of recent times all the books and any other media, including the Games Workshop official store page, list them as Craftworld Eldari, but they are the same thing. So when I say Eldar, you hear Eldari, okay? Good. Now I will quote directly from the 2nd edition codex to set the stage. I probably need to do a narrator's voice for this, so here goes my voiceover. Over 10,000 years ago, the Eldar suffered the greatest tragedy to befall a prosperous and intelligent race. The Eldar civilization was at its highest and held domain over a significant portion of the galaxy. Their worlds were places of great peace and beauty, paradises of personal contentment and cultural achievement. However, all this was to end in the cataclysm of destruction, which wiped out the interplanetary civilization of the Eldar at a single stroke. This cataclysm is known simply as the Fall. The events which led to the Fall are not a matter of record, but of tradition and speculation. The Eldar were a proud and arrogant people, confident in their superiority and dismissive of alien barbarians. Their technological achievements excelled those of all other races, and none amongst them doubted this state of affairs would continue indefinitely. Their great minds turned as easily to art as to science. They created many beautiful things and learned much about the universe that is nowadays forgotten. Their lives were long, and when they eventually died, their spirits dissolved peacefully back into the warp to be reborn again. Don't think I did a bad job of that. Let's see what it sounds like after editing. Anyway, so from this we can deduce that the Eldar are arrogant and superior to all other races, which is how any elf should be depicted, and space elves are no different. They just have guns instead of mithril swords. Pointy ears, tall, slender, and most importantly arrogant, self-absorbed bastards. To add to this, every Eldar feels emotions much more intently than any other race, and each of them is a powerful psyker in their own right, which is how they can return from the warp when they die to be reborn. Everything in their lives is automated and everything is provided for them, leaving them to pursue any whim they so desire. Now this would be the ideal setup for a utopian alien race in any other setting, but this is 40k, and say it with me folks, if it can go to rat shit, it will go to rat shit. Now with the Eldar being immensely powerful psychers and experiencing every emotion to such extreme lengths that every emotion they felt left what could only be described as, say, a shadow in the warp. Now slowly these shadows began to coalesce into groups and were creating some form of basic conscience. As each group got bigger it caused the warp storms that triggered the first downfall of humanity. As these warp shadow entity things grew, things began to filter into the dreams of the Eldar, pushing them to go further and further into the extremes in the pursuit of pleasure, pain, or more commonly, both at the same time. As almost the entirety of the Eldar race began a long hedonistic fall, trying to find the most perverted way of achieving the perfect climax whilst being shanked or shanking someone else at the same time, only to be reborn and try another way. Now a small portion of the Eldar population decided all this uncontrolled rampant exploration of extreme emotions, shall we say, was just getting really twisted, so they noped the hell out of there because they were sick of walking in on their flatmates who were having fun with some adult toys, knives and a 50-gallon bucket of lube. Now this small portion of Eldar boarded the gigantic sized ships they use for trade called craft worlds and decided to get as far out of Dodge as they can. Presumably they did all this whilst pouring bleach in their eyes to get rid of the images of what they caught their now ex-best friend's exploits with the neighbour's dog. Just as the Emperor had completed the unification of Earth, all these shadows coalesced into a sentient being that was born in a massive supernova explosion of pure warp energy. Handy timing that, it's almost like the Emperor is a really powerful psychic who saw it coming. Oh wait a minute. This explosive birth formed the fourth Chaos God Slanesh, who due to the nature of its creation from excess emotions is the Chaos God of pleasure, obsession, excess, hedonism, decadence and pain. This explosion was so powerful it created a tear in real space to the warp, known as the Eye of Terror, and it is the only natural entrance to the warp. Now the centre of the Eye of Terror is where the Eldar homeworld used to be, and it's also stated in the lore that the explosive power of this birth blew away all the warp storms, allowing humanity to once again use warp travel. In reality, those warp storms became Slanesh. Now the first thing Slanesh did after its violent birth was consume the souls of every Eldar involved in the debauchery happening on their planets, and any Eldar still too close to said planets. Slanesh then declared that all Eldar souls now belonged to it, and from that moment on, when any Eldar died, as soon as its soul entered the warp, it would be instantly consumed by Slanesh, ending their ability to self-reincarnate, and damning each soul to an eternity of torture at Slanesh's hand. It is a fate so terrible and frightening to the Eldar, it can only be compared to having to spend an entire day shopping in IKEA.
Please, no!
The only Eldar that survived were the ones who noped out good and early, and also the ones that were in the Eldar Webway, which is their form of FTL travel, and is yet another alternate dimension somewhere in between the warp and real space. When Slanesh was born, its then instant consumption of that many Eldar souls made it super powerful, especially compared to the other three Chaos Gods, and collectively they decided this upstart little shit of a Chaos God that refuses to wear clothes and keeps playing with itself in public can't be the most powerful, plus the image of a pantless pervert is not the best form of advertisement for the boons and powers of the Dark Gods they were trying to give out. So they actually started getting more active in real space by corrupting more and more people to their cause, mainly to hide the fact that one of the Chaos Gods won't stop jerking itself off. And that is how it's all the pointy-eared bastards' fault. Because they couldn't keep their pants on, they directly caused the creation of a Chaos God, which damned the vast majority of their race and kick-started the other Chaos Gods to step up their game, resulting in plunging the entire galaxy down the toilet faster than a grease weasel shit off a chrome shovel. If the Chaos Gods didn't step up their game, the Horus Heresy would never have happened, and the other Chaos Gods would have just been happy to corrupt the odd person here and there throughout the galaxy, or release the occasional demon swarm on a planet, and the world of 40k would not be the grim dark place it is now. So I suppose in a way we have to thank the pointy-eared, horny bastard arrogant twats. So the birth of Slanesh was the fall of the Eldar, and the Eldar will not discuss what happened in detail with any of the lesser races, which according to these arrogant bastards is basically everybody else. It wasn't until the addition of the Necrons and their history did we find out that the Eldar did not just evolve into the super powerful race they were. In reality, they were either genetically modified or engineered along with the Orcs by the Old Ones as a race of soldiers to fight the Necrons in the War of Heaven, which is ultimately what began the corruption of the Warp, allowing the Eldar to cause the birth of Slanesh. And there we have it, the basic history of the Eldar. Now I will be covering their armies, weapons and vehicles at some point, just like I did for the Space Marines, but that's enough for this video, and I need to explain the name change as well at some point. And there we have it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment. Better still, if you know somebody who could do with a bit of noob-splaining on Warhammer, and share this video with them. And at any point, if you learned something or laughed, then please hit that subscribe button. I won't ever be doing a Patreon or a merch store, so that subscribe button is the best way you can show your support and thanks from me.